I'm the sports professor Rick Horrow with Beyond the Scoreboard, the serious show that doesn't take itself too seriously. But how can you not with $1 billion sports business on both sides of the pond? Over on the other side, really, it affects us as well, especially with our ratings, with Sam Querrey making the second week exciting on the men's side and Serena Williams making the weekend exciting on the women's side. NFL training camps beginning and getting set to open. NBA free agency, $3 billion being spent. And the overall obvious situation is Olympics are just a few weeks away. Hard to believe. Not every Olympics has an official bug repellent sponsor, but the Rio Games certainly do. SC Johnson's Off is now the official first ever insect repellent partner. A little bit of genius. Thousands of bottles set to be distributed as part of an agreement, according to Bloomberg, despite the World Health Organization saying the risk of catching the mosquito-carried Zika virus is now being low during the Brazil's winter months. Notable athletes have cited the virus as their reason for dropping out. Top-ranked golfers, Rory McIlroy, others. Obviously, other than off insect repellent sales in Rio, and despite non-slaughter problems that have plagued the buildup of the competition, Rio Mayor Eduardo Paes reassured the world the city would be ready to host the games, but people should moderate their expectations. The Rio Organizing Committee president says all competition areas completed properly and adequately to host the games. Rio may be a transformed city, but obviously only time will tell. People said that about Sochi before the games as well. Over here, as we said, ahead of the MLB All-Star Game at Petco, Intel signed a deal with MLB to become one of the league's official sponsors, according to Ad Age. The deal already opened the floodgates on the company's baseball TV ad spend, and will see the tech giant participate in the All-Star Game broadcast. So waiting for the All-Star Game. Our show today, especially the guests, more tennis-oriented. Butch Buchholz, tennis and golf, the head of Doral, plus the head of the Miami tennis tournament for many years, including a great player in his own right. Ken Solomon, head of the Tennis Channel, and Patrick McEnroe, head of the Brothers McEnroe, you might say. Bottom line is a great show, tennis-oriented and otherwise. Rick Horrow, sports professor Beyond the Scoreboard. See you in a couple of minutes.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number.
Call 877-499-MY-TV.
The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So cancel the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money.
Call 877-499-MY-TV.
Right now to sign up for packages starting as low as $24.99, and there's no equipment to buy. You get free HD TV upgrade, a free DVR upgrade, and free professional installation. You control what you watch when you watch it. Record your favorite shows, pause and rewind live TV, even skip the commercials. Watch local channels too. At just $24.99, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card.
Call 877-499-MY-TV. That's 877-499-MY-TV.
Cancel the cable, cut costs, and get more.
Call now, 877-499-MY-TV. That's 877-499-MY-TV.
Rebuild or replace transmission, $3,200. Anti-lock brake system, $1,000. Rebuild or replace engine, $2,400. Truth is, once your manufacturer's warranty runs out, it's all on you. Every last cent. Get protection for covered repairs with a vehicle service contract from Toco Warranty. Unlike other companies, with Toco, there's no down payment, and the monthly payments are really affordable. Not sure how long you're keeping your car? At Toco, you can pay as you go. Keep your hard-earned cash and call Toco Warranty right now at 800-222-2313 to save big money on covered auto repairs. Prices vary by vehicle, but for about the cost of a tank of gas per month, a Toco plan has your back on expensive covered car repairs. Monthly payments are very affordable. Get your free quote now. Call Toco at 800-222-2313. That's 800-222-2313. 800-222-2313. Cancellation fee may apply, subject to eligibility. Not available in Missouri and Washington. Waiting period and deductible apply. Coverage provided and administered by Warrantech Corporation or its affiliates. Not affiliated with any manufacturer or dealership. Visit TocoWarranty.com for complete terms and conditions.
I'm KFC's Extra Crispy Colonel, and you're the extra busy regular person who has to make dinner for a family of 4. But you can shirk that responsibility because my extra crispy $20 fill-up from KFC contains 8 pieces of freshly double-breaded extra crispy chicken, 4 biscuits, 2 orders of mashed potatoes, and a side of coleslaw for just $20. That'll feed them. KFC, it's extra crispy good.
Pricing and participation may vary. Tax and subsidies.
iHeartRadio loves music. So let's count the ways. Over 20 million songs from 800,000 artists. All free. And like Pandora, you can create your own custom station from any of those 800,000 artists. Just tell us an artist or even a song that you like, and we'll build a custom playlist for you. Add to that thousands of the best live radio stations, and you'll never have to worry about finding the perfect song for your commute, mood, or party. Millions of songs, thousands of stations, one free app. iHeartRadio is that easy. Download our iHeartRadio app today or listen online at iHeartRadio.com.
Sports Professor Rick Horrow, Beyond the Scoreboard, the serious show that doesn't take itself too seriously. We have some of the best entrepreneurs the tennis industry can create, starting with a good friend and the former professional tennis player from the U.S., Butch Buchholz, one of the game's top players in the 50s and 60s. By the way, he can play golf now pretty well, too. In 85, he founded the Lipton International Players Championship, known as the Miami Masters, inducted into the International Tennis Hall of Fame. Butch Buchholz, very interesting perspective. We're talking about golf, we're talking about tennis, we're talking about other kind of sports, and we have someone with us who can talk about all of those things. We're heading into Wimbledon. We're also ending a lot of the golf majors, getting into the next set of golf majors. A whole lot of stuff for tennis and golf. Butch Buchholz, thank you for doing this with me. Appreciate it.
Rick, great to be here with you.
Well, where we're, in full disclosure, where we are is we are in Aberdeen. We just played the Trump International course. Give me your, as a golf fan first, and as a tired old golf man next, give me your impressions of Trump International.
It's beautiful and it's hard.
Yeah, and it's windy.
Well, and we had a little chill in the air, but it's absolutely spectacular. It's a beautiful, beautiful golf course.
Without getting into politics or predispositions or anything, we all understand Donald Trump's passions for the game of golf, and he certainly brings it every day. It's a first-class facility, and he does that all over the world, doesn't he?
He does. I mean, when we talk about Doral, it's not a renovation. It's a new Doral, and it's beautiful. And it's pretty much, what you said is Donald's passion for the sport. And he's built a magnificent golf course here in Aberdeen. It's great.
The interesting thing about this one, then we'll go on to other things, is that he blends old and new. The clubhouse was finished in 2015. It is a spectacular, ornate, elegant, Trumpian way to approach things. That's the way he normally does it. And then he builds a new course set out in the Scottish Highlands and preserving the links feel. It's an incredible kind of dynamic.
Well, I don't know that much about golf architecture, but what they're saying is that when you saw the property, everything was almost it fit in an architect's mind that this is an easy way to bring a links golf course to Donald's property. I mean, it was already there apparently, and it is beautiful. I mean, it's hard. We've hit a lot of golf balls today.
Yeah, we hit a lot of golf balls today, and you take 100 shots. Yeah. After you take 100 shots, the next 2 or 3 don't matter, really, right. Which is kind of interesting.
Exactly.
Let's work backwards about, let's go golf, and then we'll go tennis and everything else you've done in your amazing life. The golf piece, though, is interesting because you did run, as chairman, the Doral WGC tournament 2 years?
Almost 4.
Almost 4 years. Time flies. And it was a honorary position, you thought, when you were getting into it, but it was much more than honorary because you really did micromanage and you were day-to-day, basically.
Well, I actually wasn't day-to-day, but I think I was brought in basically from, the equity that we created out of the tennis tournament and tried to bring the community back into the golf tournament. And I think we did that. I mean, I think we did some really neat things. We got Joe Stone Crab to come in and Chula Burgers and Sushi Maki. And we tried to change it and make it more like Miami. When I first got there, we had hamburgers, hot dogs, and corn dogs. And I said, okay, guys, this is not Miami. So we were on our way to making some, I think, major adjustments and major going forward to make it better. So I think everyone was pleased with what we did. I'm privileged. I think I'm one of the few people that's ever been the chairman of a major tennis tournament and the chairman of a major golf tournament. And I think the reason I was asked to do that is that I understand that we're in the entertainment business. And it really doesn't matter whether it's tennis or it's golf or it's basketball or whatever. We need to make sure our fans and our sponsors have a good time.
Well, and you mentioned past tense a little bit, and it is ironic because the news peg about all of this, and you've been in the news a little bit more than you wanted to, is that the WGC and the tour basically pulled out of Doral and took the WGC to Mexico starting next year. So talk a little bit about how you perceive the World Golf Championships as events and what it means to the PGA Tour to have financially successful events around the world.
Well, first of all, there are only 4 of them.
Yeah.
So, we had one in Miami. You have the Dell event in Austin, Texas. You have the Bridgestone, which is in Akron, and the HSBC, which is in Shanghai. It is an international event. And the tour is responsible for managing it, but they have partners, and they have partners with the top golf associations throughout the world. So you got the European Tour, the Asian Tour, I think South Africa. I think there's 17 countries that are involved in this. The World Golf Championship events help support those 5 international associations. So first of all, I don't believe that the tour was cavalier in walking away from 54 years at Doral. I know their mentality is, we love the tradition, and so I don't think that, but there was a financial element to it, and the fact that Mexico stepped up with a unbelievable offer, and the fact that the tour is responsible for helping those other events financially. I don't think the tour had any choice. I think they had a fiduciary responsibility to take the best deal they possibly could. And I thought that's what they did. It's too bad that Miami is going to lose this event. And hopefully someday, somehow, maybe the tour can find a way back. But they're not cavalier about walking away from 54 years.
It's interesting that people will write into it whatever they want to write into it as far as the reasons why decisions like this are made. Trump forced it out of Miami, et cetera, et cetera. You've been on point. You're the guy who knows what the issues really were for the last 3.5 years. And I guess your position is that Trump may have had some things to do with it, but it was an offer in Mexico that couldn't be refused under the circumstances.
Correct, and I truly believe that the tour would have stayed at Doral if we could have find a sponsor that was willing to put up the money and stay at Doral. I mean, that would have been their first choice. Now we had a year. The tour had a year to find a sponsor.
When you say tour had a year, it's because Cadillac's
deal
was expiring at the end of this event,
and they were told us that up front. We're changing our marketing strategy, and so they had a year to find somebody. Unfortunately, they weren't able to do that or find something that was even close to the match that we got in Mexico, or they got in Mexico.
Well, and it's like that all over. We understand the business of golf. It's a sponsorship-driven event where people, whether it's WGC or others, look to the sponsors to either make or break the event. If you don't have a title sponsor, you got to do something about it.
Right, exactly. And again, I truly believe that the tour it was money, but also the fact that they have partners, that they had a fiduciary responsibility to take the best deal for themselves and the partners. So again, I don't think they were cavalier in walking out.
Final question, really. 10 years from now, what does the global perspective of tennis look like? What does tennis look like around the world 10 years from now?
I think it's going to be stronger. I think one of the great things that happened is that tennis went into the Olympics. Yeah. And now countries that had not invested in tennis before, but because it's an Olympic sport, will invest. So now you're seeing all the Eastern European countries, you're seeing major players coming from those countries because they invested in tennis because it was an Olympic sport. And I think the same thing will happen with golf. You know, if it'll grow globally. It's already getting there, but it'll get bigger. And I think tennis will just get bigger and bigger.
Ladies and gentlemen, Butch Buchholz, one of the few people who really has the perspective of being a successful entrepreneur in tennis and golf. We just wish, after spending a few hours watching, that his golf game itself would be a little bit better. Thank you, my friend.
Me too.
Butch Buchholz, very interesting perspective on Donald Trump as well as tennis, has a lot to say. We'll hear from Ken Solomon what he has to say about tennis and television in just a minute.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for prescription drugs? Well, we have great news. Now you can finally get prescription drugs at huge discounts from Canada Drug Center. That's right, the most popular drugs for cholesterol, high blood pressure, depression, diabetes, arthritis, and many more are now up to 75% off. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices when you can get brand name drugs at the lowest price? Call today and get up to 75% off all the popular brand name prescription drugs. Never pay high prices again. Get the most popular drugs at huge savings from our Canadian and international pharmacies and fulfillment centers. No insurance? No problem. Prices are so low you do not need benefits or insurance to get all your prescriptions fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting to take your call now. Order today and get free shipping. Just call 800-950-1180. Up to 75% off all the popular brand name prescription drugs and free shipping. Call 800-950-1180. That's 800-950-1180.
Rebuild or replace transmission, $3,200. Anti-lock brake system, $1,000. Rebuild or replace engine, $2,400. Truth is, once your manufacturer's warranty runs out, it's all on you. Every last cent. Get protection for covered repairs with a vehicle service contract from Toco Warranty. Unlike other companies, with Toco, there's no down payment, and the monthly payments are really affordable. Not sure how long you're keeping your car? At Toco, you can pay as you go. Keep your hard-earned cash and call Toco Warranty right now at 800-222-2313 to save big money on covered auto repairs. Prices vary by vehicle, but for about the cost of a tank of gas per month, a Toco plan has your back on expensive covered car repairs. Monthly payments are very affordable. Get your free quote now. Call Toco at 800-222-2313. That's 800-222-2313. 800-222-2313. Cancellation fee may apply. Subject to eligibility. Not available in Missouri and Washington. Waiting period and deductible apply. Coverage provided and administered by Warrantech Corporation or its affiliates. Not affiliated with any manufacturer or dealership. Visit TocoWarranty.com for complete terms and conditions.
Tired of calls, levies, and liens from the IRS or hiring others who don't get the job done? Call Wall & Associates and you'll never talk to the IRS again. The IRS has a program to eliminate tax debt, and Wall & Associates professionals are trained to maximize its benefits for you. You always speak with a live person with real support and real knowledge. We've helped thousands of taxpayers like you settle their tax debt with the IRS for a fraction of what they owe. We solve tax problems. Call Wall & Associates now. 800-480-5708. We have the professionals who know how to solve tax problems. If you owe money to the IRS, your tax problems are not going away by themselves, and the passage of time will only make matters worse. Act now, before it's too late. Call Wall & Associates right now to speak to a professional tax relief agent. Call 800-480-5708. That's 800-480-5708. Again, 800-480-5708.
Rick Horrow, sports professor. How about the Tennis Channel, which came out of nowhere and is now the leading purveyor of tennis content? Ken Solomon, chairman and CEO of Tennis Channel. He developed Tennis Channel's advertiser and sponsor base, added virtually all of the sports top 100 events to the channel. UCLA grad, 1983, member of the President Obama's Committee on the Arts and Humanities, but so much more: tennis, television, and sports.
Keep you score with
Here's
Rick
Ken
Horrow
Solomon.
on Reuters and around the world as far as business is concerned. Listen, we've always talked about the growth and proliferation of tennis, and some bumps, a lot of positives, more of the players on the men's and women's side in the Power 100 than ever before. Clearly, it's found its worldwide explosion, and frankly, one of the best things that happened is that the Tennis Channel, who largely precipitated that, has now found a new buyer, a new alignment, and a new home. And the guy that's the author of much of the success from an entrepreneurial perspective of the business of tennis is on the line with us, Ken Solomon, the president, capital P, of the Tennis Channel, newly fangled Tennis Channel. How does that sound for an intro?
You know, anything you say always sounds great, Rick. So, and particularly coming out with the pearls. So, thank you for that introduction. We're very excited, needless to say.
I'm sure you are. If there were a word fangled, it would be newfangled. So, the bottom line of all of this, though, is that you've taken a new step, and the Sinclair purchase and realignment. So, give us some of the details and what it means to the Tennis Channel and the business of televising tennis.
Sure. Well, and jump in and stop me at any time as you will. But when the network was formed almost a dozen years ago now, at least ideated and then brought to market, it was done backed by private equity. So this moment was always going to come, and frankly, logic would have dictated that it would have come sooner. But we had a great club of both angel round investors who were serious, cable executives and luminaries, combined with Bain, Battery, Columbia Capital, and J.P. Morgan. And, they recognized that we were doing something very special and gave us a much longer timeline than usual. They also allowed us to really build the network to something approximating full scale, as opposed to kind of just working our way in and then saying to a prospective owner, hey, you put in a lot of money to make it what it needs to be. And if you had been able to write the script, you couldn't have written it any better than having Sinclair, and that is not puffery, that is a fact. They are really the perfect new owner and partner. Our team is effectively remaining the same. We are staying right here in Santa Monica base, even though they are based in Baltimore. A lot of people want to know the answer to that question. And it's very, very exciting. They bring a tremendous amount to the table. They bring the ability to scale, and that was evidenced, and I'm sure we'll talk more about it, upon announcement, the fact that already deals had been done to add a minimum of 20 million additional subscribers at rate to our 30-plus million that we already had. And going north, that's just where we were to start on announcement. And they also bring 171 television stations and the ability to tell the story of tennis domestically and very, very hyper-locally through 171 stations, news and sportscasters in most of those stations. Most of those stations are in the top 80% of the country, going all the way up to Washington, D.C., WJLA, the ABC affiliate there. And there's huge, huge opportunity to continue building out this sport in the way that we have, using a national footprint of a tennis channel that we believe will be, in the range of where Golf Channel is, probably 70-plus million homes in the foreseeable future, combined with that kind of a local broadcast footprint. When you take the value that this sport has, and I'll leave it at that, and all from the players to the way it's played year-round to the fact that it's every day, and that we couldn't possibly cover it all on one network, and that it's growing, and that our ratings were growing without distribution growth. It's a pretty great setup for what we think is going to be a really exciting and perhaps continuing to be an interruptive future. How's that?
Yeah, there you go. And of course, the answer to all of this is that the listeners and to the podcast and the show will certainly hope that you become a little more passionate about what you believe in the future. Ken Solomon, always consistent. Now we've got capital and reach and expansion as well. So as we're off and running and we're into the major season now, timing couldn't be better for all of this. Tell me, if you had a magic wand and you were the commissioner of tennis, and you're a lot closer today than you were a few years ago, let's say, what would be the one thing that you would try to attack and evolve in the game today? Governance, rules, structure, blank slate.
There's a lot of stuff out there about players and matches, and is it all on the up and up and all that? And I think that's being handled rather well. It's not an immediate process. Everyone wants an immediate answer, but I think the result of what started in Australia with the BuzzFeed article about match fixing and things like that and gambling is what people are going to find through the process is it's an infinitesimal amount of malfeasance going on in the game, and that the game itself is incredibly vigilant at attempting to find things, maybe two, some would argue, at attempting to, root out anything that would make it other than a purely a meritocracy in terms of who's best. And so I think that's all being handled well. You can always keep your eyes on it and try to make it better. For us on a macro level, Rick, in some ways we're trying to do it from our little place in the world, which is getting to be a larger place, which is to bring it all together. And the difference between tennis and so many sports, particularly the U.S. stick and ball sports, is that there's no central singular governing body, and that's perfectly fine. We might not exist if there were, or we'd probably be owned by them. There is some good that comes from having singular governing bodies that can bring together, create alignment among all constituents, and then move the sport forward. There's a lot of the men's and the women's tours are two different, ATP and WTA are two different things. The majors are all uniquely owned. Some are private, others are parts of their countries. Every country has its equivalent of the USTA. Progress is, I feel a little like the president. Everyone wants everything overnight, and we all know progress is slow, but we're making progress. I think tennis is at a point where it is the equivalent of the stock market going from 600 to 1600.
And by the way, the president has been underpaid as well, so you have something else.
And other than we're a distant third to golf and basketball, but the first lady is the one who holds, and Malia and Sasha are the ones who are holding up the tennis rackets in the White House for us.
Yeah, well, and that gets to an interesting point. A couple more minutes with Ken Solomon, president of Tennis Channel. If I'm a world-class young kid that has athletic ability, let's say in the United States, but could be worldwide, and I have many options to get into many kinds of sports, why in the future am I going to be moved to become a tennis player?
That is an excellent question, and it's one that we talk about here. Increasingly, we believe, Tennis Channel, and people we talk to, that there should be a similar approach to other sports in as far as looking first for the best athlete. What tends to happen is if a child of any economic stratum, right? I mean, this can happen in public parks too, what I'm about to say, and it certainly happens at private clubs. Has the access, then it's the sort of Gladwellian, tipping point of having 10,000 hours, and they're most likely to be teed up to find a way to create a world-class competitor. But do we start the funnel in the right way? And I think the answer is that can be much, much better. That is something we are looking at. And the incentives need to be on par with the incentives for other sports. There's just no question about it. The good news is Tennis Channel, at the very least, in addition to thinking very seriously about facilitating what you're alluding to, is helping fulfill at least part of that, in that kids aren't going to want to do something if they don't see their heroes on television doing it. And that was a central thesis of us starting this all the way back. Why should a young girl who lives in South Central Los Angeles, whose hero is Serena Williams, or, by the way, maybe Maria Sharapova or Aggie Radwanska, why should she not be able to see her heroes doing what they do best? Over 93% of Serena Williams' matches last year happened live on Tennis Channel. And if we didn't have full distribution, far too much of the population wasn't having an equal shot at seeing that. You weren't going to create that motivation at the root level for kids that's so important. You talk to any major athlete and say, what made you want to do this? And they will tell you that moment they saw one of their heroes doing something, either in person or on television, and that spurred them to aspire to greatness and to believe they could do it. So you're right in your question, and that's going to be a part of I think a part of our new ability to scale and finally having some weight and leverage to do good. I think that's, we'd like to be a big part of that.
Ken Solomon, certainly interesting perspective on the game and how it's growing and how television will also help it. Up next, one of the brothers McEnroe. He says he may be the brightest. Let's see who it is. Rick Horrow.
Blood pressure tends to run higher during the day and lower during nighttime sleep. However, many with high blood pressure don't exhibit this nighttime dip, a condition called non-dipping. More in today's AARP health tip after this.
At Walgreens, getting diabetes testing supplies with Medicare Part B is a walk in the park. Really, because getting what you need is quick and easy, giving you more time for other things. There's $0 out of pocket on all major brands like Accu-Check and Walgreens TrueMetrics, and no extra paperwork. So managing diabetes becomes a stroll down Easy Street, or a trip to the movies, or even a day at the beach. Talk to your pharmacist today. Walgreens, at the corner of happy and healthy.
Zero out-of-pocket cost when billed to Medicare and full coverage supplemental insurance.
Non-dipping is a major risk factor for stroke, heart attack, and kidney disease. But studies show taking one or more of your prescribed blood pressure medications just before bedtime significantly decreases the risk. Of course, never change the timing of your medications without first consulting your doctor. For more, go to aarp.org.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 877-663-7126 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 877-663-7126 to take your call now. Call 877-663-7126. That's 877-663-7126. Again, 877-663-7126.
Rebuild or replace transmission, $3,200. Anti-lock brake system, $1,000. Rebuild or replace engine, $2,400. Truth is, once your manufacturer's warranty runs out, it's all on you. Every last cent. Get protection for covered repairs with a vehicle service contract from Toco Warranty. Unlike other companies, with Toco, there's no down payment, and the monthly payments are really affordable. Not sure how long you're keeping your car? At Toco, you can pay as you go. Keep your hard-earned cash and call Toco Warranty right now at 800-222-2313 to save big money on covered auto repairs. Prices vary by vehicle, but for about the cost of a tank of gas per month, a Toco plan has your back on expensive covered car repairs. Monthly payments are very affordable. Get your free quote now. Call Toco at 800-222-2313. That's 800-222-2313. 800-222-2313. Cancellation fee may apply. Subject to eligibility. Not available in Missouri and Washington. Waiting period and deductible apply. Coverage provided and administered by Warrantech Corporation or its affiliates. Not affiliated with any manufacturer or dealership. Visit TocoWarranty.com for complete terms and conditions.
Rick Horrow, sports professor, welcome back. Great interview. Better than one of the interviews that I've ever had in tennis. This man is an entrepreneur, but he also is a Stanford grad and a brilliant entrepreneur protecting and guarding the world of tennis. The former captain of the U.S. Davis Cup team. His career-high singles ranking, 28 in 95. Doubles, number 3 in 93. Captain of the U.S. men's team at the Summer Olympics in Athens in 04. and part owner of the New York Sports Time of World Team Tennis. And he says famous brother John, a player on the team, famous brother John is interesting, but as far as guarding the future of tennis, nobody better than Patrick McEnroe.
Rick Horrow, keeping score, business of tennis, business of life. A person who most young folks, unfortunately, unless they're really tennis fans, know him as an ESPN and formerly CBS personality. He's the real deal. He's a Grand Slam doubles winner. He's a Stanford grad, All-American there. He was the Davis Cup captain. He was part of the youth development program. He has a lot to say about the business of tennis and the business generally, and it's all good. Patrick McEnroe, how's that for an intro?
That sounds pretty good, Rick. I mean, that's going way back a few years in my Stanford days, but had a great run there. It was the tennis program out there. Obviously, the academics off the charts. The men's team is kind of gone south a little bit in the last decade or so, but the women's still going strong. They won the NCAA title this year, so good for the Cardinal.
Good for the Cardinal, and you led the team to titles in 86 and 88. At the risk of ending this interview abruptly, I didn't know you were that old.
You know, that's what I was saying. It's going way back. So those were great years, and you know, I love college tennis because college tennis was tennis being such an individual sport, as everybody knows, but the ability to play in a team and play for your school and play for your teammates. Obviously, we in the McEnroe family were always into playing for our country in Davis Cup, and probably the highlight of my professional career was being able to be the captain for 10 years for the Davis Cup team. So that was a huge honor, and you know, that's something that kids, I think, we try to keep them involved in tennis by being, you know, can still participate in the team aspect of it. And college tennis is just a great avenue for young players to aspire to. Obviously, the pros is a whole nother ball game as well. But college tennis was a great experience for me in my 4 years there.
Well, we'll get into that in a couple of minutes. The segue back from college tennis to giving back broadly defined, but your really, really, really good relationship with the USTA. The Davis Cup experience generally, you know, there are people you hear talk about obligation, and you have to, and it impacts your longevity with the bigger tournaments and the majors. Obviously, you don't believe any of that. It's part of the evolution of it. How important is Davis Cup in the overall structure of tennis, would you say?
Well, it's a very good question. I would say it's not as important as it should be, Rick, and I think the reason, and we're seeing even now, you're looking at the Olympics coming up, and you're hearing about, you know, Steph Curry and I think LeBron James and other players saying, you know, they're not going to play in the Olympics for Team USA, you know, because they're beat up physically. But the reality is it's because it's financial, and you can understand that. And tennis is similar in that sense that the players, obviously, their bodies are what make them money. They have a short time period to make, you know, the big money that they're trying to make as players. There's no guaranteed contracts as there are in team sports. So I think that, you know, and the Davis Cup to me needs to be revamped in that it shouldn't be every year the way it is now. I'd like to see it be every other year. I'd also like to see tennis in the Olympics be more of a team concept. And right now it's just an individual tournament like any other tournament. It happens to just be the Olympic Games. But I would love to see you playing as a team representing your country, you know, similar to what they do in swimming or gymnastics where there are individual medals awarded, but you're also participating in a team event as well. So I think that would be a great way to go, but they're not listening to me on that front. But I think having tennis in the Olympics in general has been a positive for tennis and for the growth of the sport. And Davis Cup, too, while it's very popular at times in the countries that it's in, it doesn't, to me, have the global impact that it could have, you know, similar to the Ryder Cup or certainly the World Cup of soccer, which happen, you know, not every year.
Well, you know, they should listen to you more, and you listen to what your comments are, and you could really fill in the blanks with any number of business-oriented golf folks. The every other year Ryder Cup piece you just mentioned, the team-oriented aspect with the Olympics versus individual. You know, the Olympic golf is going to be another glorified stroke play, and obviously the Olympic piece important to some tennis players and, let's say, less important to others. So that change becomes very important, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so, and I think you know, I think tennis has become a bigger deal for the individual players. You know, since it came back into, I think it was in the mid-'80s that it came back sort of as a trial sport, and it's a big deal. I mean, for a lot of these, Roger Federer has talked about winning the gold medal in doubles as one of the highlights of his career. Here's a guy who's won 17 majors, arguably the greatest tennis player of all time, and he's talking about winning a doubles gold is a big deal. So I think it's become more important for the top players. It's going to happen, obviously, right in the middle this summer between Wimbledon and the U.S. Open. So it's a tough couple of months for the top players, especially that will be, looking to win gold or looking to win majors. And how about Novak Djokovic? You guys won 2 majors this year. He's the favorite certainly to win another Wimbledon title. Could you imagine winning all 4 majors and the Olympics? Steffi Graf did it back in the late '80s, so he's got a legitimate shot to pull that off.
Are you teasing the U.S. Open for us? Is that your trick here?
That's part of it. We had that great run with Serena last year, Serena Williams, who won all 3 last year, and she got into the semis of the Open. And I think the pressure, the attention, the intensity of all that finally got to her, understandably. So I still think that she's going to catch Steffi Graf and get 22 in total majors. She can do that at Wimbledon, which I think she's got a great chance to do that, and to win another major and hopefully for her catch Margaret Court. So it's amazing what she's been able to do. She's going to turn 35 this year. So, tennis players normally are in their prime in their mid to late 20s. And I think it's just incredible that some of these athletes in tennis, like Federer and like Serena, are still playing at the highest level into their mid-30s.
How old are you?
Do you have to ask me that? I will be 50 in a matter of weeks, in fact.
Well, the reason I'm asking you is because, she's 35. Are you contemplating a comeback?
You know what? I play in the, sometimes they call it, in France they call it Les Légendes. Yeah. At Wimbledon, they call it the Gentleman's Invitational, and I just call it the Old Guys Tournament.
The Old Guys Tournament.
Yeah, the Old Guys Tournament. So when I see replays of my play there, and the lack of movement around the court compared to what happens in the real tennis these days, I'm perfectly happy playing what we call hit and giggle tennis.
Yeah, but listen, the bottom line of it is if you were to command a pretty significant sponsor patch as part of an endorsement, the camera would be on it a lot longer because you're not moving as fast.
That's a good point. Yeah. I got to try that in my next pitch.
Yeah, good pitch. So the other issue, too, obviously, the USTA Elite Player Development part, you were in it until 2014. Broadly defined, let's not worry about that particular program, but what do we do to wave a magic wand to get more young male athletes into the game?
Well, that's a great question, and I'm glad you said male because we have the most female players in the top 100, and I think we overall as a country are doing very well with continuing to have young women come through the pipeline. The male is trickier for a couple of reasons. Number one is just athletically, most of our best athletes will go towards other sports earlier, like baseball, football, basketball, etc. Whereas a lot of younger females, tennis is one of the few sports where great athletes can make a lot of money playing tennis. So I think that's part of it. One of the things we try to address is just to have a more cohesive coaching philosophy around the country. I think, quite honestly, we've gone behind. We've fallen behind, I should say, in how we train our young kids and how we coach them, and I think Europe has far surpassed us in that area. So I think we made some real strides in trying to catch up and get us back to where you can't just assume that it's just going to happen if you get some good athletes playing tennis. You also have to teach them well, and tennis is a very skill-intensive sport. It takes a lot of repetition. A lot of balls need to be hit at a very young age to really develop those motor skills to become a great player. So I think we're starting to see some signs that we have the best group of young men coming up that we've had for a long time. They're all about 18, 19 right now, led by Taylor Fritz, who's top 100 player already, Francis Tiafoe, Michael Moe, Stefan Kozlov, Riley Opelka, Tommy Paul. All of these kids were very highly ranked internationally junior players and are all working their way up to the professional ranks. So I think this is the best group we've had in a while. And really, the X factor is, will any of them become, great players? That's something that's, obviously hard to predict, but I think we're going to have a chance with a couple of them.
So really, your stamp with the USTA and just your advocacy you really think 2-3 years, no guarantees, we're going to see more American males getting to second weeks of stuff?
I think so, and I think we're going to have more. We're going to have more. You know, one of our goals always was, Rick, was to what I call flood the top 100. You know, because I'm not sure you can create a Serena Williams in a system, or a John McEnroe, or a Pete Sampras. You know, those are sort of freaks of nature. But I think what you can do is you can create a lot of really, really sound, good players, like France has done, like Spain has done, like Russia has done, particularly on the women's side, the Czech Republic on the women's side. And I think that we're starting to see that happen in our country, where all those players that I mentioned, I think, are legitimate top 100, top 50, and let's hope a couple of them can become top 10 players. Certainly the chances of, you know, Rafael Nadal became a legendary player, but Spain was producing loads and loads of top players for many years. And again, I'm not sure the system of what they did in Spain could create a Nadal, but certainly the environment of a lot of really, really good players and good professional players certainly helps the chances. You know, it's very unusual that Roger Federer came out of Switzerland, which doesn't have much of a tennis background, although, by the way, he left home at a young age and went to a program that the Swiss Tennis Federation ran when he was about 13 years old. So he was surrounded by, you know, a support system as a talented young junior. I think we're doing a better job of that in this country, but you know, it's always that battle between, you know, should the private sector be doing it, the public sector, which is really the USTA. It's like the old, you know, individualism versus the government helping you, and that's sort of trying to find that balance of you want that great kid and that great coach who are very driven, but you also want to, as the USTA, with the money and the resources that they have, be able to help facilitate those players becoming professionals, because it's more difficult than it's ever been to become a top professional tennis player.
And you and I both know that the government gets in significantly in a lot of other countries, and the government gets into sports here, from building facilities to everything in between. So while they shouldn't dominate, we all agree, I guess, they should certainly be involved. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. And I think that was always the balance that I tried to find with the USTA, because, you know, if you say the level of coaching needs to improve in this country, which I believe it does, you know, a lot of people get offended by that. A lot of people get upset. You know, hey, I'm a great coach. Don't tell me. You know, USTA shouldn't tell me what to do. And I think you have to find that balance where you have to not be afraid to piss some people off, but at the same time you have to work with them, because you do need them to help you, and you sort of all have to be at least somewhat on the same page. And I think there's some very good examples of players that have been helped by the USTA, but have also been very much supported by, of course, their family, number one, and their coaches along the way. And I think it has to be a team effort.
Rick Horrow, sports professor, Patrick McEnroe, some very interesting perspective on tennis, on life, and how to get more kids in the game. Next up, Bust, Boom, and Hope. Sports Professor Rick Horrow, Beyond the Scoreboard. See you in a couple of minutes.
We all know healthcare has changed drastically. It's quite the puzzle to sort through your options and find a health insurance plan that's affordable and maximizes your benefits. And you're now required by law to have health insurance, or you may pay a tax penalty. So let the Health Markets Insurance Agency help you. They offer plans from over 120 different companies and can even help you obtain government subsidies. Let them do all the research for you and show you how affordable health insurance can be, a service that's at no extra cost to you. Call now and learn your options to find affordable health insurance. 800-614-1242. 800-614-1242, 800-614-1242, 800-614-1242. Health Markets Insurance Agency is a DBA or assumed name of Insphere Insurance Solutions, Inc., which is a licensed insurance agency in all 50 states and D.C. Not all agents are licensed to sell all products. Service availability varies by state.
Attention, if you've had hip replacement surgery and suffered any complications, you need to listen to this important legal alert. Major manufacturers have made billions of dollars available to award legal claims for defective hip implants. Thousands of these defective hip implants have been recalled by various manufacturers. If you've had hip surgery and suffered complications, you may be entitled to receive significant compensation to help you deal with your complications. You may be eligible to receive money to help with medical expenses, lost wages, stitches and pain and suffering. Protect yourself by hiring an experienced trial attorney. Our partner law firms are experts in hip replacement surgery lawsuits. Find out now if you're eligible to receive any of the $2.5 billion hip settlement fund. Call now for free information. 800-296-1360. 800-296-1360. 800-296-1360. That's 800-296-1360.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 877-663-7126 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 877-663-7126 to take your call now. Call 877-663-7126. That's 877-663-7126. Again, 877-663-7126.
Sports professor Rick Horrow, Beyond the Scoreboard, the serious show that really doesn't take itself too seriously, but with all of the events that are going on, Wimbledon and everything around it, how can you not? Great tennis segment, but now let's turn to bust, boom, and hope, the terrible, the good, and the hopeful in the economy. First, bust. Southwest Airlines publicly opposed building a dome football stadium on a 42-acre site near Vegas's McCarran International Airport, one that could potentially house the Raiders, but no one that could impact airport operations. And this could be a very interesting perspective, according to the Vegas Review-Journal. Site known as Trop 42, highly controversial between Las Vegas Council and Commission members. Boom! Kevin Durant's move will certainly help the Warriors' performance, but it's expected to undercut Under Armour's grip on Bay Area basketball market. Back-to-back NBA MVP Stephen Curry, arguably UA's most popular athlete, but Durant set to bring his signature shoe line with him to San Francisco. Under Armour previously owned this Warriors team through its sponsorship of Curry, but will now have to share the market with Nike and Durant. Under Armour has had exceptional years of growth, headlined by Bryce Harper, Cam Newton, Tom Brady, and Steph Curry. And Nike soon taking over the league's official sportswear outfitter and jersey supplier for the 17-18 season. These factors may take some significant momentum away from Under Armour in the Bay Area and around the league. Finally, hope. Notre Dame football coach Brian Kelly made it clear that he and the university are both open to taking their annual Shamrock Series game against the United States Naval Academy out of the country. Kelly noted the 2012 game in Dublin was as seamless as making travel across the country, and logistical concerns were less daunting than they'd been in Los Angeles. I can't tell you that we're close to signing anything outside the country, but we haven't crossed it off our list. And the reason for it is because the Dublin game went so well, said Kelly. The 2012 game was held at Aviva Stadium and marked the first advanced sellout for a sporting event in the venue's 2-year history at the time. The game drew significant media attention, airing in both Europe and the United States. Well, bust, boom, and hope, always significant. And the tennis business is significant. We'd like to thank Butch Buchholz, Ken Solomon, and Patrick McEnroe for lending their wisdom and expertise to us. And again, thank you for listening, and join us once again next week when once again we go Beyond the Scoreboard.